happens very quickly in the gospel, but there's this bright exchange of divine light that happens, and joy and life that comes from the Holy Spirit. Mary is bearing the incarnate Word, Jesus, in her womb, and as soon as she enters and greets Elizabeth, the light that comes from Jesus reaches John, and he recognizes it, and so he leaps for joy. And it reflects then from him to Elizabeth, who realizes what's happening and who has arrived, and she's filled with the Holy Spirit and cries out, "Blessed are you among women." And then, this is my favorite line from the gospel because there's so much joy and gratitude in it. She says, "How does this happen to me, that the mother of my Lord should come to me?" Now this quick exchange, it's almost like pinball, because it goes from one to the next to the next to the next very quickly. Where did this come from? Where does it start? This is all the fruit of Mary's faith at the Annunciation, the gospel reading that we just had recently. And Elizabeth points this out. She says, "Blessed are you who have believed what was spoken to you by the Lord would be fulfilled." Because Mary, when Gabriel gave her the message, because she received it in faith, because she said yes and actually believed what the Lord said, she received this light that then is reflected to others. So there's a pattern that emerges here. God speaks, and then someone who hears his voice believes him and says yes to his will, and they receive the light that he gives. And then they reflect it to someone else. They reflect it to somebody else the light and joy of the Holy Spirit. And then they get to receive what God has for them and reflect it to another person. So like I said, it's maybe like pinball. This is the image I used last night, and then somebody gave me a more appropriate biblical image, which is light on a mirror, like the moon reflecting the light of the sun. But it ends up in like this again, the pinball is bouncing back and forth, or the light is bouncing back and forth between the mirrors, where the one recognizes in the other, "Blessed are you who have believed," and they rejoice, and also they say, "And how does this happen to me, that the Lord has come to me?" For us, here today, we are, I think you can see this, we're right in the middle of this story. What happens next depends on whether we recognize God's presence like Elizabeth and John. He comes here and his presence here is the fruit of other people's faith who have believed what he said and responded to his will, and now he is entering our home. And when we recognize it, we say, "How does this happen to me, that the mother of my Lord, or my Lord himself, has come to me?" When we recognize his presence, then we can listen to him speak to us. And then the question is, do you recognize his word to you today, like Mary at the Annunciation? He's not speaking to someone else. We're not just reading words from a book, but he speaks to you today. Having heard his word, do you believe that what he says will be fulfilled? Because we have a choice whether to believe or not, what he says about the future, what he says about us. And based on whether we believe it or not, then we say yes or no to what he calls us to. And if we believe what he says, we receive his word in faith, we recognize his presence and say yes to his will, then we get to reflect this light. We get to bear him with us, with ourselves, to another. And then, because of the faith that we have received him with, then someone else will recognize the presence that we reflect, and he will speak to them. And then they get to respond to his word in faith and to carry God to another. This is like really what I want. I want to be able to say of all of you, "Blessed are you who have believed that what was spoken to you by the Lord would be fulfilled." And this is like the thing that we want to be able to say with conviction and joy as Christmas is so close. How does this happen to me, that my Lord has come to me? God brings, this is like the whole point of this, God brings and will bring so much good, specific good, to specific people that you know and who know you. God will bring so much good out of this encounter with you today.